Climber. Today's guest is a multi-number one hit songwriter, a co-founder of a successful publishing company, and is a record producer as well. We touch on all that and a lot more, and you're going to love the awesome Trey Bruce. So listen up, Johnny, do that thing.
Welcome to the Climb! This is a show dedicated to helping singers, songwriters, and indie artists like you create leverage in the music business, y'all. Leverage is what it's going to take to get you where you want to go. The good news is you don't need anyone's permission to be an artist, to be a songwriter, to make money in this industry now. The bad news is you got to do it yourself, and you've got to be a master of a lot of other things. That's why we created this podcast to help you climb. And that's why we called it The Climb, C.L.I.M.B, creating leverage in the music business. It's a genius how the lyric points back to the title. Who came up with that? Well, I'll tell you who. That's my friend and co-host, Mr. Brent Baxter, who's an award-winning hit songwriter with cuts by Alan Jackson, Randy Travis, Lady A, Joe Nichols, and more. And by the way, that puts you in a club with Trey Bruce, doesn't it? With cuts by
the Randy Travis Cut Club. Yes. That's
right. y'all need to get hats and jackets and stuff like that. I want to come hang out at your yearly meetings and party. But listen, you don't care about any of that stuff from Brent. What you care about is how he's going to help you as a songwriter become pro by revealing how you write like a pro, how you do business like a pro, and then on the regular, he gets you opportunities to create relationships with the pros that are going to help you climb on your career. And many relationships have been created. That's Brent Baxter. You can find him very easily at songwritingpro.com.
And I would like to introduce you to my co-host, Johnny Dwinell. Johnny owns Daredevil Production. They're breaking artists digitally by identifying new fans through data. Yeah, it's complicated, but yeah, Johnny's smart. If you're an artist looking to increase your streams, blow up your video views, sell more live show tickets, and get discovered by new fans, TV, and music industry pros, then Daredevil Production can help. Daredevil has worked with multi-platinum artists like Colin Ray, Tracy Lawrence, Ty Herndon, and Andy Griggs, just to name a few. You can find Johnny at daredevilproduction.com. That is production, singular, no S, and there is no S because there is no other Johnny D.
How you living?
Man, I'm living well because this was a good conversation, a great hang with Trey Bruce, and it was just a good time. I didn't really want it to end, but it was an hour, so gotta let the guy know.
I just
got records to produce and songs to write.
Gosh, I just love his vibe. I love his brain, like his understanding of the industry. Super, super smart dude. Also, from my point of view, through my lens, it doesn't hurt that he came from a rock band. He was a drummer in a rock band.
That's right.
And all that. So yeah, great, man. I can't wait to get to that interview. But before we do, let's take care of a little bit of business here. We want you to, of course, follow the podcast on whatever platform that you listen to so that you are getting notified of all the new episodes as they come up. We don't want you to miss one that you like. And tell a friend about it, man. That's the best thing you can do for us guys is make sure they know that there's something you're getting out of this. There's something you're learning. There's value in this that you're finding, and tell them what that is. And maybe we get, help us grow and help us help more people. Right. And also join the Climb community on Facebook. Go to Facebook and just search for the Climb community. You have to ask to be let in. We let everybody in that can answer 3 questions. They're real simple, right?
Real simple.
And that just make sure that you're not a bot or trying to sell us carpet cleaner or siding for the house or whatever. Right. And this is a great community, y'all. This is, man, it's thriving. People helping other people, asking questions, giving opinions, posting news, sharing new music on our New Music Monday post. They're sharing their gig dates on the Gig Alert post every Thursday. And every Wednesday, we have the New Heights post, which we affectionately refer to as Wednesday Wins. And we share those. Not only are you going to get a lot of love in the Climb community, but we share those on the pod. So, Brent, what do we got today?
Yeah, this is one that's really cool. I might have mentioned this one before, but I ran across it again, and I just wanted to share it. From Casey Hiatus, Climber, says, was my 9-year-old son's first co-writer a few days ago. Proud dad moment. One of my favorite music moments in my life. And he posts a video with it. So like that's the kind of wins that are really cool. Getting to be
And
your
you can
9-year-old
totally relate to that with
yeah.
Ozzy. Yeah.
Yeah, so I love that. So that's awesome, Casey. And let's see
Good job,
here.
Casey.
Yes. So Marvin Adcock Clymer says Task is an upcoming American crime drama movie television miniseries or crime drama television miniseries created and written by Brad Inglesby for HBO. Yesterday, Crucial Music pitched my song Choices of the Heart to the music supervisors. So fingers crossed. And then he includes a link to the song if you want to listen, which is totally appropriate there. So I know Marvin gets a lot of stuff pitched by Crucial Music to film and TV stuff, and he's gotten some placements and everything. So congrats, Marvin, and good luck, and keep on climbing.
Yeah, good job, Marvin. Marvin's like he's OG climber.
Yeah, man. Yeah, he's been a songwriting pro member for a long time and an OG climber, and he's making it work, man.
I love it. I love to see the growth. I love to see the wins, man. Well, let's get into this, y'all. Just if this is gonna drop before we get it up on YouTube, but if you haven't checked out the pod on YouTube, like you got it because he's got an Emmy in the background. But you know, when you think about somebody who's got an Emmy award or a Grammy or one of those kinds of awards, right? I picture him like behind glass, right? Or on a mantle somewhere, right? Because it's got a base to it. You don't hang it on the wall. You put it on a mantle, or some kind of sconce mantle or something like that. But no, this is like just if you know me from the pod, you know how well I just was endeared to this man, like right out of the gate. Is he's got it behind him on top of a Marshall head, and I was like, this is the coolest freaking thing I have ever seen. Man. That cat is awesome. So without any more messing around here, let's get right to that interview with Trey Bruce.
All right. Today's guest is an Emmy award-winning songwriter who moved to Nashville just in time for the 90s country music boom. He was a rock drummer from Memphis, so what could go wrong? Shortly after moving to Nashville, he signed with MCA Music, and his first demo became a hit single. After 3 years at MCA, our guest co-founded a small indie publishing company, Big Tractor Music, with record producer Scott Hendricks, and there he received 16 ASCAP awards, an Emmy Award for Best Original Song, and the first 5 of 10 number one singles, multiple top 5 and top 10 hits, and an Academy of Country Music Song of the Year nomination. During the Big Tractor years, he also became a record producer. Our guest left Big Tractor in 2005 and started a publishing joint venture with Chrysalis Music and became head of A&R and creative in the Nashville office. At Chrysalis, he signed and developed new artists, including Chris Janson and TJ and John Osbourne of the Brothers Osbourne. Our guest wrote an abundance of new songs with everyone from Duff, McKagan, Scott Weiland, Carrie, Underwood, Randy Travis, and Richard Marx. That is a wide swath. In 2013, he started his own music publishing and artist development company, Galore Entertainment. Trey Bruce, welcome to The Climb.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm already inspired.
Well, good. Inspiration is the deal.
And for those of you who are listen only and don't watch this on YouTube, the Emmy Award is sitting on top of a Marshall head, right behind him in the shot, next to the Fragile lamp, leg lamp. Everything about you just says we could be friends. Like
that's good, man. I keep just enough stuff to make everybody happy.
Yeah. You're covering all the bases. You're ticking off all the boxes for me, man. I love it.
It looks like a little Emmy angel on your shoulder.
That's what it is.
So wait a second. Rock drummer from Memphis. Do you know the Tora boys?
I do know the Tora boys. They were starting to pop right about the time I packed it up and came here. But I knew Todd pretty well back in the day, and I was coming out of clubs where I was drumming in bands, you know, hair like this and makeup and spandex. It was an ugly time.
Well, there you go. I don't know if you can kind of see behind me my wall right there.
For those of you on YouTube.
Yeah.
There's Idols of American Youth poster behind Johnny with him, trench coat, no shirt, long, glorious hair.
Did the hairband thing, yeah.
I actually had breakfast yesterday with 2 other Memphis drummers. Of course, Greg Morrow, who's a session drummer, been here for years, and we've been in the studio 1,000 times together. But also recent transplant, Chris Craig from Lord Tracy, and a new band called Fraser Boulevard. So we had breakfast yesterday. It was just a walk down memory lane with all the different. Of course, we were never in bands together, but we got to talk about all the bands and various heroes we've been playing with over the years, and it was really a lot of fun.
That's awesome. Lord Tracy, that was always a killer name. They came out with Tracy Lord, right? And he sued him, and so they just flip-flopped and said, okay.
Right.
I was wondering, I was like, that sounds like somebody.
Yeah, that was fantastic, man. I love that. And Greg Morrow, I mean, good Lord, dude.
Yeah.
That guy. Really?
Grooves within grooves, man.
So, like, he does half the drum tracks you think somebody else played from, like, his attic or something from the studio.
Right. Yeah. Beautiful cat.
Yeah, I love him. Well, thank you for saying yes. Welcome to the show, man.
Actually, y'all said yes. I think I invited myself.
Well, so
that makes me feel good. Hell yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well,
that made
me go by.
I like the cut of your jib, son. Like, we want more like you. I love it. Come back anytime you want. We haven't even started
an email
yet.
go by that had this podcast, and I thought, well, that looks like fun. So I just said, hey, how could I be on there? And you sent me the paperwork, and it happened just like that.
Heck yeah. So thank you for doing that. So I'm curious about your first demo became a single.
Yeah.
That's not how that works. I don't know if you got the memo, but that's not how that works.
Yeah,
but I would love to know how it worked.
Like you and Bon Jovi, I think, are the only ones that made that happen.
Oh, that's good. Well, I had just gotten here. I brought my drums, but I came here to be a writer, and I was playing in a rock funk band and trying to acclimate myself to writing country music. And I had 3 or 4 songs that I'd put on a little cassette deck, and the singer in the band got me a meeting with MCA Music through the engineer at the studio. So it was really a convoluted stream of events. But I got this meeting with Al Cooley, who passed away last year. But he, for about 30 minutes, he thought I was from Australia. He kept mentioning things down under, blooming onions, kangaroos, all that sort of stuff. And I finally asked him who he thought I was, and he looked at his big paper calendar and he says, "Aren't you so and so, so and so?" And I go,
I was like, Keith Urban? Yeah.
No. And he said, "Well, who are you?" I said, "Well, my name's Trey Bruce. What do you do?" "Well, I write songs." And he started laughing at me. He goes, "I'll be the judge of that." And he started this really heavy accent New York laugh. He's got an unlit cigarette in his mouth. And so I play him the cassette of 2 songs, and he says, "Wait right here." He runs down and gets the boss, Noel Fox, and they come back and say, "When can you come in and write with one of our writers?" And so I came back the next week, and I wrote a song with Lisa Silver, who'd been there for some time, and the house, right at that point, the MCA house was Don Slitz, Dean Dillon,
Oh, wow.
Lisa, Russell Smith from the Amazing Rhythm Aces, Dave Loggins. It was a really heavy room, and me and Mark Sanders and Gary Burr were the new kids on the block. And so anyway, I went back, we demoed the song, and Cooley went around town telling everybody, it's hard to say this out loud, but this is what he said, so I have to repeat it because it fueled my first several years. He said, I can't say it. He said, I've signed the next Christopherson. And so he's telling everybody, so everybody's taking the songs, and Bob Montgomery over at CBS took the song, put it on hold for a new artist named Shelby Lynn.
Yeah.
And I was still delivering pizzas, and Cooley called me one day and said, "Hey, we're getting that song cut. Will you take a publishing deal?" So I said yes, and it came out, and it was a hit on her. And
Which song was it?
it was called "Things Are Tough All Over."
Okay.
I don't know if she's ever had singles in the top 15 since. She's had some big records, Grammys and stuff, but as a country single, I mean, she was like turning 18 years old.
She was alt. Very
Insanely
alt
brilliant singer.
Yeah. I'm a fan of hers. Like I I loved her, and you know, I know her story and all that. It was really,
Yeah.
really
So anyway, it got cut. I got a publishing deal, and no one could have been more surprised because I was still dragging drums around and wasn't a guitar player or singer. I was banging on a guitar like all good drummers do.
Yeah.
And I
flogging.
wasn't playing the Bluebird or anything. So, and three other publishers within a week or so had already told me I got some promise, but keep walking. And
Yeah.
Cooley worked for Combine Music. He was pitching Chris Christopherson songs
Oh,
years
wow.
before I got there. So when he signed me, he injected credibility whether I was worth it or not.
And that means so much, man, to have a champion, somebody to fly your flag for you. Because I can say I'm awesome all day long. If I
Right.
say I'm the next Christopherson, I'll get
like an
looks,
asshole.
right? I just look like a complete idiot.
Yeah.
If somebody who's worked with Christopherson says that,
Yeah, I
it's a
still
totally
get-
different thing.
I'm still uncomfortable talking about it. So let's move on from that word.
And that's the beauty of someone else saying it. So that's wow, that is a heavy house at MCA. That's a lot of hits. Okay, so something you said about banging on a guitar, being a drummer. I know, like that's how. Big Loud, Craig Wiseman. That was his background too. Was drumming.
That's right.
So how did that work in the room for you then? So you just banging on guitar? Were you normally with someone else with a guitar or piano?
No,
I'm
I
just
mean,
curious to know.
I'd learned the chords, really primitive versions of every chord.
Yeah.
So I was up to about 9 or 10 at this point.
Oh, which is like double what you need for country.
And I had studied,
Triple.
while I was delivering pizzas, I studied Willie Nelson Sings Christopherson, a cassette that I had. And I knew that any more than 4 or 5 chords was overkill. As long as the poetry was there, you had a platform. And so
Amen.
that's how I really I grew up as a Black Sabbath, David Bowie,
Yes. Yes.
Rush,
I'm so glad I can introduce you to.
Yes.
UFO, all
Yes.
that, Mott the Hoople.
Yeah.
I grew up on all that stuff. Yellow Brick Road was one of the Bibles.
Oh, yeah.
And so transferring into country was just a matter of learning the dialect a little bit better and learning how to tell stories that never happened, just make them up.
Right.
Nah.
So true, but they just never happen. That's the only. Yeah, they're still true.
But then they relate to people because they just never happened to you, but the stories happened to
Right.
clearly a
Oh,
lot
yeah.
of other people.
Yeah.
But that's
Well,
a big jump, man, going from rock and roll to country.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't make that jump.
And so then I had a Diamond Rio cut and a Randy Travis cut, and there was another one. I was at MCA for 3 years, and I got super lucky. I just had 4 cuts, and the last one in my 3rd year there, it was called Look Heart No Hands, and it went #1 for Randy Travis, and
Cool song.
and I literally jumped ship and went and started a brand new publishing company.
That's
Instead of
bold.
staying, which was, again, a lot of success for me was not knowing better and just doing it and not being really analytical about it.
Yeah.
MCA, of course, had a deal for me to stay. They started renegotiating the 3rd year into 4, 5, and 6. And Scott Hendricks called me one day, and he'd been cutting my songs on some of his artists, and he said, "Come over and see me." So I went over to his office, and he said, "Man, everybody wants me to start a publishing company. If I can sign you, I'll start one." And it's a bit, my whole world was delivering pizza when I got here, 3 years at MCA, which was just, like living in a castle. It was so amazing.
Yeah.
And then he says, "Will you jump ship and start a company with me?" And after his pitch, he goes, "Let me know tomorrow." And so I went back the next day and said, "I'll do it. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'll do it."
Yeah.
And we started Big Tractor, and it went crazy.
Right on.
Wow.
What were some of the
and
songs you guys got cut out of Big Tractor?
There are a bunch of them.
The
I
first
remember
one I
having meetings
turned
over there
in,
back in the day.
yeah, the first session I did one that I written by myself called "Whisper My Name," and it got cut immediately and went #1. So Scott's foray into publishing was just, I mean, it was the first session, and it went
Was
number
that a
one.
Randy
So
Travis thing?
yeah,
Whisper
so
My
we
Name?
had pipeline by end of year 2.
Mm-hmm.
We weren't waiting on catalog to be built. It was one of the first 4 or 5 songs I demoed on a session at County Q. And so that was 2 for Randy and with Randy Travis, and it just kept going from there. There were Faith Hill, Trisha Yearwood, Marty Stewart, Diamond Rio, Reba, Lori Morgan, a bunch of them. I mean, it was just crazy.
Idiots, all of them, losers.
Yeah, knuckleheads.
Yeah, knuckleheads.
I was so lucky, so humbled, and I just had fun. I just kept writing. I wrote every day. If Scott pointed to that corner, that's where I went to write. If you know, I mean, the whole first year we shared an office. He said, "There's the coffee machine. There's my Martin. That's your couch, and you can come and go all day, all night." So
Yeah.
that's
So
it.
how involved were you? Oh, what was that, Johnny?
He knows how to talk to writers. You can come and go all day and all night. Like
Right all night. Right. Creative for
whenever
sure.
the muse shows up. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, how involved were you then on like the business side of a startup publishing company? Did Scott handle a lot of that, or did you partner up on that as well? Or
Well, we partnered with Warner Chappell,
okay,
and so they did our admin. They
Beautiful.
funded the company.
even more beautiful.
Yeah, it was like a lot of the satellites you see now, except we did this like 25 years ago.
Yeah.
And I wasn't involved in the business, but I'm sitting on a couch across the room from Scott, listening to him on the phone. I'm following him to the studio at night. I'm watching Brooks and Dunn records, Faith Hill records, Restless Heart records. I'm watching all these records get made. And so I picked up bits and pieces of things as I went along.
Yeah.
I was in the room one day when they called from Atlantic Records and said the original producer was not going to get to do the next John Michael Montgomery record. And he said, Scott, bring me a song. If you bring a song, you get the job. So all the producers in town were doing that.
Yes.
Scott had a good basket. What he called the really great songs.
Yeah.
He pulls out "I Swear" and runs over there and gets the gig. So I was learning in real time how powerful a song is. It wasn't about a kick drum or a guitar sound or a vocal mix. It was about a yellow sheet of paper and a melody.
Yeah.
And it's powerful stuff. So I learned it in real time. I mean, it was every day. It was just soaking in me. I was a sponge.
That's cool. Well, I was curious about, being in the studio, and of course you've gone on, being a producer yourself. How has that shaped your writing? Do you, obviously, I guess you hear some production and stuff. Are you thinking like when you're writing the song, are you thinking studio, or are you thinking we'll worry about all that later? Because I'm curious, because I have buddies that are like artists as well. I'm like, how does being on the road and interacting with fans and seeing what goes over and what doesn't, how has that changed your writing? And it has, because they think what's going to go over live.
It has and it does. It happens in trends of years, because the trend we're in now is not the one we were in 3, 5, 8, 12 years ago. So what affects me on the downbeat of a writing session is always different. And then even within those trends, it's different one day at a time, depending on what song I'm writing. Am I in the room with a co-writer, or I'm in the room with an artist / co-writer, and all the variations that can be. There's artist writer, there's writer artist. I know how to divide that and what that means. And then there's artist. And so it's really a day at a time for me. I just figure out what the mission is, who's in the room. And of course, it used to always just be writers.
Yeah.
One at the very most. And then
Right,
now there's an artist in 98% of the rights.
Yeah, because that's I call it the chain of yes that has to happen. You know, like all these, you have to have an unbroken to get a cut. You need an unbroken chain of yeses from all these people that have to say yes, and one no
Right.
breaks the chain. You got to make a new chain, and having the artist in the room just shortens that chain. How many people have to say yes? Because you can get the artist yes right there. So I think that's a lot of why
One
that's
always answer for what you just asked is
happening.
whether I'm thinking about production, records, live, or whatever. I'm always thinking of the lyric.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I cut some guitar vocals, and I've had guitar vocals that have written go number one
Mm-hmm.
because the lyric holds up. It makes people feel something, and if I take care of that, production in a lot of cases is going to be secondary because I don't, I've never written like Achy Breaky Hearts.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Or,
look, heart, no hands. I mean, that is,
yeah, I
you
try
think,
to,
okay, here's this Memphis drummer to come in and write country. You're like, oh, it's going to be, everything's going to be loud and awesome, but rock. And you're like, no,
yeah,
look, heart, no hands. That is such a heart, no pun intended, song that, yeah, it's like, yeah, I can tell you're paying attention to the lyric.
I get to cheat a little bit because Randy Travis cut the best songs I could write. Spirit of a Boy, Wisdom of a Man, number
Yeah.
one on Randy. Whisper My Name, number one on Randy. It was pointed out to me several times long after Whisper My Name was number one that there's only one rhyme scheme. It's A through the whole song, and there's no chorus. And I didn't know it because it was just stream of consciousness to me. I was just
It felt right.
being a poet and having fun with a guitar. And so those songs wouldn't have been cut if it hadn't been for him.
Mhm.
Spirit of a Boy was 7 years old when he cut that, and he and I had written songs so he wouldn't have to cut it, and he didn't cut anything we wrote together
Mhm.
because he's an artist. He cuts
Yeah.
the best songs he can get his hands on, not the best song he can write.
Yeah.
Well, and that's a lot of going back to
And there's a
an
difference.
artist being in the room like 90% of the time now. It's like most of what is getting cut is the best song that the artist has a part of, not the best song in town.
Right.
Which is, obviously Randy knew what he was doing. Artists like George Strait, Tim McGraw, they've done okay.
Yeah.
Chesney, even Garth, who can write and have written hits, but
Yeah.
look for the best songs they can find. It does okay.
Reba. I mean, the ones that are
Reba.
on album 25 have been cutting the best songs they can find in one of the deepest song towns in the world,
Yeah.
as opposed to the bet. I ask young artists sometimes, did you come down to be an artist? And if they say yes, buses, airplanes, endorsements, concerts, then don't hold your artistry back until you catch up as a songwriter.
Oh yeah.
Bust your artistry out now and let your songwriting catch up because sometimes with labels and managers, I've always been in a situation where there's a committee. The artist says something, the A&R says something, the head of the label, and you dwindle 25 songs down to 15, down to 12 or 10, and you make the record. And it usually is about the biggest song. And now it's more, and I'm not dissing it, this is the way a music business is, so this is the way where I live. It's more about we get it all down, and artists just don't hear an outside song. And I don't know, sometimes I think it's ego, and sometimes it's just not. It just is alien to them to cut a song they didn't write. And usually it's the reason is I'm not sure I can relate to it. And like, well, Meryl Streep didn't live any of her scripts, but she made us think she did.
Yeah.
Yes.
George Strait and Randy Travis and Kenny Chesney made us think they lived those songs. So what is artistic? That's pretty artistic.
Yeah.
Most people have no idea that I wrote a lot of those Randy Travis songs and not him. And because he's the artist, he makes you believe it. And when an artist says, well, I'm not sure I relate to it. Well, if your dog gets run over in Qatar or Osceola, Arkansas, we all
Osceola,
have the
baby.
same emotion. We
Yellow
hurt,
Jackets.
we cry, we have regret about leaving the fence open.
Yeah.
We all share envy, sloth, greed, triumph, phoenix. What emotion does anyone on the planet have that we all don't have? So
Right.
anything you say is relatable to anybody.
Yeah.
You just might not like the song, which I get.
Which,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
And it's
if
interesting.
if it's not, if it's not ego, then it's pride. I mean,
Yeah, there's a difference.
You come from the rock and roll world where, I did the hairband thing, and it's like you had to write your own songs, and even if you didn't write your own songs, they still put that crap on a record like you did,
Yeah.
because otherwise it wasn't legit. You know what I mean? So
Like
I think
Bon
there's some
Jovi's people
artists
trying to
that-
buy Desmond Child on Living on a Prayer, trying to get his name off of it, buy him out. And John backed him. But
Right,
yeah,
yeah.
that was the thing.
John did the right thing.
Yeah. And one thing interesting about the 90s that, I've noticed as well is you'd have all these, people, singers taking on characters, that were not their biography, not their autobiography. So you have all these great, Fancy, talking about Reba, think the night the lights went out in Georgia. I mean, she'd had so many great ones like that, and other artists did too. And that's something you rarely get nowadays. And I wonder, is it a product of like social media? My whole life is out there, so therefore I can't talk about anything that's not really my autobiography because it's not congruent with my whole life that's on social media everywhere now, versus you can have some mystery about that or what. I don't know what the change is, but there have been plenty of us writers that have bemoaned the fact that we can't just make up a cool freaking story. And because this artist won't cut it because it's about heartbreak or, growing up, in this place because he grew up in some other place. Like, I can't do that. It's not my story. It's like, but it's a freaking cool story.
Yeah.
It's
But it is what it
somebody's
is.
story. Yeah.
It is a little boring that they can't see outside their own personal lived life to write a song and take their people on a journey for 3 minutes of complete fantasy, a complete made up story.
Yeah.
That is a shame.
What if Reba said, I'd have to be a child hooker in order to relate to Fancy? You know what I mean? It's like, what if she said that? I mean, and what if Bobby Gentry wouldn't write it? You know what I mean? Like, what the hell? Like,
What we would have missed out on.
It's one of these things. It's as old as music and different generations itself that we don't get to do the same thing for a long time because trends change. Social media had something to do with it. Artist egos and pride has something to do with it. I mean, I've seen artists that just makes their skin peel if they think there's a song on their record that's not written by them, even if they were a fifth or a ninth writer on it. And then I think hip hop, years ago when hip hop started talking about me in the song and about, then it became personal. So it was cameo appearances of yourself in your song. Yeah. And as that spread through every other kind of music, it became, I'm singing about me.
Yeah. Versus I'm singing about a gambler I met on a warm summer evening on a train bound to nowhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, and one thing I've been trying to do, it's like knowing that when I write with artists, it's interesting because I think earlier on when I'd write with artists, I'd do my homework and I'd bring in these ideas that I think are really solid for them. And, wrote a lot of those ideas because I'd done my homework. It makes it easy. Like, oh, that's a cool idea. Let's write that. And a lot of them wouldn't get cut. And what I've come around to is just going, okay, I still have those because I want to do my homework. It's a potluck. I want to bring a tasty dish. But I want to go, what's on your mind? What's going on with you? and I got my stuff, but I don't want to use my ideas. I want to use your idea and anything I can glean from your life and just go, hey, just don't let me tell a lie. Is that what happened? Can we say that? Can we just, is that, and I'm not my wife is much more I'll find out a little news about somebody, something happened to a friend. She's like, well, what happened here? And what happened here? And all this. I'm like, I don't know. I don't ask a lot of questions. I'm a dude. I don't know. And I'm having to get over that and be more like my wife. And when you're in with an artist, and how did that make you feel? And then it's a very different thing.
Oh, that must have been awful. What did your hair look like when it happened?
And what rhymes with that?
Yeah.
Which has been uncomfortable, but it's also really cool when you can help an artist tell their story. And then you can see I played the song for my mom and she cried. Yeah. Because it's our story. And I'm really getting into that as a writer because that's really cool. Because I don't have any artist aspirations. I'm not about myself. but helping you tell it. But is that, I guess, one of the things you've noticed as well, writing with artists? Like, is it much more that? Where do they show up in the songs?
Yeah, every artist, I really have to recalibrate within an hour of every single write with a new artist is where they stand on a lot of stuff. It's usually they're the less of a writer they are, just natural fall out of the womb songwriter. The more you have to just write something for them that mirrors their life.
Yeah,
because it just doesn't. There's some little walls that it takes a while for them to get through that say, oh, I can write about a story that didn't happen to me, but everybody driving down I-40 today, it either happened to them or their mom or their brother. And that's who I'm trying to reach.
right.
So it just, every day it's a little bit different. And
Funny, like I think you and I have some of the same challenges on there. Like as a marketer, when I'm dealing with artists, and I think like maybe you can use this as a crowbar. Like I'm just referring to when you said, don't let your pride or whatever as an artist get in the way, or don't let your songwriting get in the way of your artistry. Like you're an artist right now. Get out there and do it, and let the songwriting catch up, right? And it just occurs to me that that's part and parcel with when I'm telling artists, like, we need to do some cover songs or some mashups to get some attention. Like, well, I don't want to be known as a cover artist. And I'm like, my answer is always like, well, do you feel like you're better than the Beatles? And they're like, well,
Right.
well, I'm like, well, first 5 Beatles records.
This song.
Or 50% cover songs. Yeah. I'm like, you better than the Stones? Like the first 2 Stones records, 100% covers, except for 3 songs. And then they caught up with the writing. And those are some of the best that we consider in the music industry, and so yeah, it works for you too. On that part of it, it's like,
That's right.
It's like, look at what they did. They were going out and being artists and learning how to perform and learning how to handle crowds and learning how to put their thumbprint on something so that they really knew what that was when they were starting to write their own songs,
Right.
like performance wise, to match the writing,
That's right. When I'm working with an artist and they're pretty intent whether they can or can't believe they can write the whole album. I mean, I don't think me or any other really, really good songwriter in Nashville can outright the whole town 10 songs in a row.
Right.
Even if
I'm taking the field.
Yeah, I've got to go to. So I make the artist, whether they want to or not, do a publisher tour and take in outside songs, because I don't want to cut an artist and let all the publishers and writers in town know we didn't look for songs.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to tip that hat because it's what Nashville's built on. Publishing came here in like 1821, not the 50s. And so I do try to tip my hat to that. And I still will get songs in for some. I've had artists lose their record deals because they just refuse to sing anything they didn't write on. I mean, against everybody in the room saying, but this song is so big, they just can't get over it. And then some, usually the better the writer they are, the more confident they are that is a great song, and I got to cut it.
Oh, good point. That's
Yeah,
really
well,
good
like
point.
Lee Bryce, that, he's a great writer, he's written some of his hits, but when I Drive Your Truck came across, he's like, seriously, I can have this?
Yeah.
Right.
Not, I have to do this? No, I can have this?
Right. House That Built Me the same way. Miranda can write 100% or pretty good,
You sure can.
but she couldn't outright that song.
Yeah.
Right.
It
And
changed
she
her
begged
career.
Blake to give it to her because it was given to Blake.
Right.
And she's like, that, I have to have that. There you
She
go.
went female vocalist of the year 3 years in a row on the back of that song.
Yep.
Her road dates went up.
Yep.
We can now see her going out at the Ryman, just like Loretta and Tammy Wynette and George Jones,
Yep.
because she's in that hierarchy.
Because that one song, and which, by the way, gave her, to quote my good friend Brent Baxter, like the ability to keep doing it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So guess what? More of your songs got heard. Guess what? You got to make, if we're just going to be bastard accountants, you know, you got to make more money on your songs on account of this one decision about this other song.
Her records have a lot of freedom in it now too, from
Oh,
the
yeah.
production to the songwriting, and it's really refreshing. It's fun stuff to listen to.
Since we're talking about artists, you were, you know, in your bio mentioned that you were integral in signing like Chris Janson and TJ and John Osbourne of the Brothers Osbourne. Like, what do you know, your picker's pretty good. So what do you look for? Is it a gut feeling, or what are some things you look at for an artist that, man, what makes a difference?
Man, there's an animal instinct that a star has, and I'm a pretty raw nerve myself, and I can just recognize the terror in an animal's eyes to survive, and the will to survive against everything. Like, we've got trees growing out of rocks everywhere here because they just have to grow. And I can see that in some artists. I went to hear an artist on Lower Broadway one night, and I paid whatever it was to park. So I saw the artist, and it was a Belmont artist. And so I made the block a couple of times, and I went down lower part of Tootsie's, and then I came up the alley and went in the top. And these kids blowing a harmonica, singing Hank Senior songs, jumping from table to table, falling. Crowd goes wild in a very Iggy Pop sort of way.
Yeah.
And I was looking at punk country, like the real thing. And so I stood in the corner of that little hallway that goes out to the alley for 2 sets. And whoever was managing the bar called me the next day and said, "Hey, Trey, saw you watching that kid last night. You want to meet him?" I said, "Today, if possible." And so I went down there late that afternoon, and we met in an office. It was upstairs at the time. And he comes in. I said, "Hey, Chris, I'm Trey Bruce." And he goes, "Hey, man." I said, "So what do you want to do?" He's smacking on gum, looks out the window and points over on the corner. He said, "I want to play over there." Well, it was Bridgestone. And I immediately realized he was full of shit. He had a massive ego, and he was insecure, all the things that make a great artist.
Yeah.
On top of the animal instincts I saw him do for 2 hours in that night, singing Hank Senior songs. And I was running Chrysalis at the time, and I had the ability to sign anybody I wanted to my satellite, like Big Tractor to Warner Chapel. And you know, I called my crew in Los Angeles, attorneys and my boss, and said, "I found one, and I'm going to sign him." And my boss was Kenny McPherson. He's Scottish, and he goes, and I said, "What do I need to do?" He goes, "If you fall on the sword for him, you can sign anybody you want." And so I fell on the sword without reservation, signed Chris, and then
that was Chris Janson.
Chris Janson.
Now, did he stay on your label, or did he go to Warner?
Chris stayed. Again, Chrysalis was a publishing company.
Right.
It's a subsidiary of an old English publishing company that signed new artists like David Bowie and Blondie and UFO and all kinds of great artists. But we got For Sale almost immediately, and for the almost 3 of the 5 years that I was at Chrysalis, we were for sale, fighting for our life. And I signed Janson in the first year. I signed a 15-year-old Cree Harrison in the first year. And I found John playing at the basement on 8th in another Belmont Kids band. And I went to see the band, and I couldn't hear anybody but John. So I introduced myself to him. I went to see him the next night. He was playing bass at Exit In. So I offered him a publishing deal. And when his brother graduated from high school, I did the same thing with him. And in the meantime, in between those two, I ran into a kid playing on Bill Street for a Sean Lane memorial concert, and it was Charlie Worsham, and he was a junior at Berkeley in Boston, so I signed him. And
So I'm going to start running all my artist co-writes by you first and go, should I bother?
Right.
so, I had a crazy house of insanely talented kids.
Yeah.
And signed Josh Matheny from a Belmont showcase, and I put him and John all in the same band. I put them in a band called King Billy, and Charlie Worsham was in the band, and every label was terrified of this band, and yet they were famous. There's so many videos of them on YouTube. And then Chris Janson, he only wanted to be anything himself. He didn't even come to some of the publishing functions. He was so about Chris, which is not good or bad. Every artist is a different animal, and that's one of them.
Hey, I got a question about Chris Janson that it might be just out of your purview with him because you're on the publishing side of it. But I'm just curious, like when Buy Me a Truck came out, like.
Or Buy Me a Boat, you mean?
Or Buy Me a Boat, I mean, yeah. Sorry.
Fix your truck, buy me a boat. Those things.
Yeah. Well, and a truck to pull it, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
The marketing behind that I thought was like freaking genius. Like, I don't know if the label made it feel like he was an indie or if he was really still an indie, maybe with just a publishing deal that because I remember, Bobby Bones was all over that song, and everybody they just had all this heat on that song before it came out, and the pitch was that it was like an indie thing that was blowing up to become this major label thing. Like, is there anything you can share about that? Because I thought that was brilliant.
I wasn't personally involved, but Chris was without a record deal and still coming over to my house griping about not having a record deal. I had just gotten a girl signed to Big Machine, and he wanted to know if I could help him there. And things went well for a while, and at the last minute they said no. And this was about the time he got flustered and threw Boat up on iTunes. And it did really well. And then I noticed CMT or whatever the other country channel was. What was it? CMT?
GAC?
GAC. One of them offered to get behind that record and do a video for free, which told me they were getting in the content business because it's a demo. And then like a month later, Scott Hendricks Warner's announced that they were picking up the whole thing. And so it was in the middle of all that, Bones knocked it over the edge by getting behind that song. So it was an indie artist, literally really frustrated because Chrysalis was 5 years. And when we got bought by BMG, all of my artists, they dropped when their contracts came up. They didn't listen to them because I was calling them saying, you need to listen to this, you need to listen to that. BMG wasn't interested. They dropped everything in the Nashville office as soon as their contracts came to term. So then my kids were all without deals again, out on the street waiting on their next deal.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like it happened in a minute. Janson was on RCA for a minute, put out a couple of weird songs that had nothing to do with him, and then got dropped. And then Warner Brothers picked him up on the power of an independent artist going #1 on iTunes for like a month.
Wow. Yeah. And that was, what a song, so smart.
Yeah.
So good. But I love that that's the reality behind the story, man. The power of the artist today is something like, how does that affect you? You're a consummate pro in the way the old music machine worked back in the 90s and everything.
Right.
How are you adapting to the new music business and what's happening now? Has it changed some of your tactics, strategies?
I adapt quickly. I don't.
Well, clearly, if you come from rock and roll, step right into country, you son of a
I don't
gun.
grieve over the shit that I can't control, and I jump in with whatever the new thing is. And I try to raise the bar on whatever the new thing is all the time.
Mhm.
So I noticed a couple of years ago that people are A&Ring what's a hit, not the radio tour necessarily, especially with sync being so important in breaking artists, like the Orange song, The Moon Orange, what's Zach Bryan?
Yeah.
That song getting broke before he had a deal on Warner's. And then I take like Avery Anna, I was studying her last year, and I noticed the songs that they go to radio with, that's the radio tour, 24/7 for a month or 3 out there promoting that song so it'll get ads on the ad date. And those 2 songs are they're frozen at around 21, 22 million streams, and they have been for 3 months. However, the song Narcissist, that never says the title in the song, is at 43 million. It's twice what her radio hits, her radio pushes are, because when people go to her, when people take the hint and leave TikTok and go look for her on Spotify, they listen to a few things and they can't quit listening to that one. It's not a hit country song. It's an unplugged pop song that never says the title.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we did that. Just people.
Yeah. Well,
streaming.
as Gary Vaynerchuk says, the market is never wrong.
Yeah.
The market is,
The market is never wrong. And when I do film and TV things, I don't look at whether it's a $30,000 or a $330 sync. I look at, does it break my one-stop artist that's not attached to anything? Does she get 300,000 Shazams in one night? If she does, then for about 40 hours, she's got a chance to jump. She's got a little bump that could break her in some way. Probably not longer than a week, but for a few minutes she does, or he does. So I look at all those ways of breaking music. I'm super confident that people are causing the hits that happen, whether they're on radio or not. A song that streams 40 million times is making money, and it hadn't been on the radio. And 40 million is not a lot, but on her page, Avery Anna's it's like a lot.
Yeah.
So we're picking the songs, and they become hits where they on the format that they become a hit on, whether we hear it on the radio or not. Which just, I work with so many young artists, man, and they've never turned a radio on. They don't even know. They use the radio for the speakers in the car. They get 4 kids in a car. Each kid's got a completely different playlist.
Yeah.
They take turns banging those speakers. And at the end of the night, they are all genreless. They've all listened to country, classic rock, and top 40. And that's why we're in a genreless place.
Yeah.
That's a good point. I mean,
Which I love.
yeah.
I mean, radio, it's country radio, it's pop radio. So there's the only place that we label a genre. But even in the radio, there's 5 country genres.
Yeah.
There's R&B, there's hip hop, there's 80s rock,
Pop.
and there's Stapleton and Americana.
Yeah.
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 And Beyonce. Don't forget Beyonce.
I look at it as it's just like the best of all worlds. We get to make music, and people get to choose what they like. And Napster, radio's in its early Napster period. And Napster comes for everybody at least once. That whole ideology is that your shit is gonna change.
Yeah.
And,
Well, it's been, good Lord, it's been going on, man. I mean, I'm amazed that it's stuck around as long as it has,
Radio, you mean?
Yeah. I mean, it's we've been talking about it, Trey, on this pod for a long time, and I'll have friends of mine that I'll geek out on these kind of conversations with, and that are they'll go out on radio tour with the label artist, as like a utility guy or something like that, and I'll get calls from them at 8 o'clock in the morning, and they don't call me at 8 o'clock in the morning, but so then I'm worried, like something happened, and they're like, man, listen, I'm sorry to call you so early, but I know that you know this, but I just got to tell you that you're right. Like we just walked out of a P1 station in Detroit, and there's a lot of sad eyes here. You know, there's like 1/3 of the staff doing 3 times the work for half the pay, and they don't know how much longer it's going to go on. It costs $1 million a month to keep the lights on in there, and I'm just like, this is astonishing that it keeps going. You know,
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how that pans out. But we a few months ago we did a podcast where we just talked about just the fact that this exists, that there's legislation in Congress that would force automakers to continue to provide terrestrial radio in their cars.
Right.
And I mean, just let that sink in for a second. Like, wait a second, man. Like,
You don't have to tell people to do something they already want to do and are doing.
Yeah, I mean, it's like that, right? And it's like, and everybody knows, even the local mom and pop companies that still advertise on radio.
Yeah.
They know this. 90% of radio is consumed in the car. What do we need that for?
Yeah.
Is it because the automakers know their freaking customers? And
Yeah. I haven't studied car radios staying in cars or not, so that's new to me. But,
shocking though, right? Like,
yeah.
It's a lobbyist group. It's a
Yeah,
lobbyist
absolutely.
group for terrestrial radio, and the whole thing was of course you have to attach it to helping some marginalized group, and so it's like, I mean, really this is for all communities, but for the poor rural communities. And I swear to God, this isn't the language. If something happens to the power grid and the cell towers, they're going to need those radios to get information.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, but, is that going to be in the EV cars that they mandated? Like, that's going to be just as worthless as anything else when the battery runs out. You know what I mean?
Right,
like,
yeah.
It's not.
That's a no problem to me. If the radio's in my car, I don't have to listen to it if I don't want to. I mean,
Right.
I probably never would unless I'm listening to NPR or something when I'm driving into Nashville. But it's like,
It's just astonishing that exists, you know?
Right,
I mean,
yeah.
the 8-track has come and gone in the automobile. The cassette has come and gone in the automobile. The CD has come and gone in the automobile. And since 1920s, we've had radios in the cars.
right.
They are married. 90% of terrestrial radio is consumed in the car. Like, the only reason that exists is because somebody high up in the Detroit or somewhere has been talking about not doing it, you know?
It's wild.
Like,
Yeah,
nobody
I know
wants
that.
it. What do we want to put it in there for? Like, nobody listening to
Right.
it, you know?
We can,
Like,
we can save some money and not buy
Yeah.
radios for thousands of cars.
yeah, so it's a very, there's a
is.
whole lot of levels to that, you know?
Yeah.
But I mean, to me, the one of the biggest things that hit me, Trey, was like, because I connected the dots on this when I was in Arizona with my wife, and we had a rental car, and she had the car connected to her phone, and I dropped her off somewhere, and then I got to go somewhere, and I'm trying to connect my dang phone to the car, and I can't. So I'm forced to listen to the country station there, to the radio there.
Yeah.
And that means I'm forced to hear the ads. And then I was like listening to all the ads, and I knew this. I knew like years ago, like the big box advertisers had left country radio. The real multi-billion-dollar marketing savvy companies
Yep.
left. The juice wasn't worth the squeeze for them. But the mom and pop shops, and I'm like, wow, like one headline. It could be like a Black Monday, Trey. Like one headline, GM announces that they're not going to provide, even if they say they're going to make terrestrial radio optional in a car instead of being like guaranteed. Those mom and pop shops are just keeping the boat above water. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if they all just because they're not savvy enough to know it's not working like it should. They just feel like it's always worked, and that's why they're paying for it. But they do know that 90% of radio is consumed in the car. And if they're not going to start putting them in cars, then it might be like, okay, I guess we got to go do something else. They might just stop right there, you know,
Yeah.
and then kaboom, the whole bottom falls out. The wheels come off, and then what the F happens, you know?
Yeah. Well, actually, Johnny, on top of that, I hadn't thought about this before, but yeah, you talk about the big, companies are getting out of advertising on radio. Well, listen to what happened on the beginning of this podcast episode. I've heard Disney, where they put Disney ads on the top of this show, Starbucks ads, credit card ads on podcast.
Yeah.
Right. You're not going to hear them on your P1 radio station, but they're on podcast.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That just hit me.
The people that go to work every day in their car and listen to the radio, they're all approaching retiring, because 30-year-old people that go to work in their car are probably streaming.
Yes.
And I'm just guessing about the split of that. I know on Spotify alone, the largest piece of the pie is independent artists with less than 50,000 monthly followers.
Yeah.
That's bigger than Warner's, with Aretha, Led Zeppelin, everybody.
Of the 8 million artists on Spotify, like 200,000 are professional or professionally aspiring artists, according to Spotify.
Right.
200,000.
But when you think about how many artists only have 50,000 followers,
Yeah.
and they're the largest slice of the pie over the major labels,
And it's growing.
it's just a massive amount of independent artistry that never existed. Before streaming, there was everybody on the bottom of the pyramid and stars on the top, and no middle class artistry. Now you've got cats that are independent. They own a portion of their masters, if not all. They own their publishing. They knock down small six figures a year with touring and the content. They take their family on 1.3 vacations a year. They're living a great dream.
Yeah. They get to make a living doing
music.
it, man. Yeah. Well, we did. There was a Spotify report that came out in 2021 that we did a report on that looked back on 2020, and they said that year they paid 13,400 artists at least $50,000 just for streaming, just on Spotify, right? And that, Digital Music News, of course, spun that as this horrific thing, like, oh my God, there's 8 million artists and only 13,400, made, eked out 50 grand. That's stupid, like, and I'm like, wait a second, like, here's what we know about art is it's like most of it sucks, right? It takes very, very little of it's objectively good, and then once it's objectively good, it becomes subjective to the listener. But I thought, that's still a pretty big number, like, and I went and did some math and went back like 60 years, and the number I came up with was that like 2,700 of those artists are multi-million-dollar brand names, whether they're dead or alive and still doing it, but that have that kind of grip to keep that kind of traffic going to them. So that's 50 grand up to Elvis and the Beatles, right? Like, it's all the way to the top. And when I did the math and sort of backed out like how many artists, had a deal now, and I took out a couple other little things, it was like 8,400 artists that were completely independent, to your point, that didn't have a record deal, that would never get on the radio, right? That are now...
They would never have made $50,000 a year if there was no streaming. All those artists made money that they couldn't have made if they were trying to get their CD in a coffee shop in Sweden.
Exactly.
Amen,
And so here's the thing, just to give you like validation on this, man, not that you need it, but I just love geeking out about this stuff. But the next year, same report comes out looking back on 2021, and Spotify claps back at Digital Music News. So the first thing they did was they showed that number went from 13,400 to 16,500. That made at least 50 grand. 3,100 new artists made at least $50,000 on streaming. Wow, that was an astonishing amount of growth. And then they said, and by the way, we also just put together some criteria to determine like what a professional artist would mean, right? So 3 pieces of criteria. Number 1, you have to have at least released 10 songs, enough for 1 album. When they did that, the number of artists on Spotify went from 8 million to 5.6 million. It eliminated 1/3 of the artists right off the bat. The second thing is you have to have at least 10,000 monthly listeners, which isn't going to pay anybody's bills, right? And that number went from 2.6 million to 160,000, Trey.
Wow.
Okay. And then the third piece
That's
of criteria was you had to have made at least $1 selling a live ticket on a digital platform. And they pulled that data from 2019 so it wouldn't be distorted by the pandemic. And then that number climbed up to, that's where the 200,000 came from.
Wow.
So you know what? It's like, it's not that big of a race when you look at it in the context of that. And it boils down to, what we really have right now is a marketing issue. We have more killer songs and more amazing artists than we've ever had access to before. And we just got to find better ways to get them to get them heard.
Yeah.
Streaming is good.
Mm-hmm.
It's the great equalizer. So all artists, all writers, all bass players can put out records and have them distributed all around the world.
Yeah.
So that is good. The business model of it has gone from terrible to inching its way better every year because the pay is inching its way up. Last month, Universal did a new deal with Spotify. It got rid of the podcast bundle and the book bundle. And today, Warner Brothers inked their new deal with Spotify, also got rid of it.
Oh, I love that. I didn't hear that.
Two of the big four have stepped into a new situation where it is friendlier to songwriters and creatives, and it has new plans within the new structure. So it's getting better all the time. It's getting better very slowly, but it's still the best thing that ever happened to independent artists being able to get their music out.
You go get a college education right now and get out. What are the chances that you're going to get a job at 50,000 coming out right out of the gate?
Yeah, I don't know.
And now you can just go and do what you were born to do, but you just got to be smart about it. And to your point, I love what you said, Trey, is like, I just try to take whatever's happening right now and make it better and be a craftsman,
Yeah.
Right.
I've been saying, to some people lately, like the train's coming. I can be on it or I can be on the tracks, complaining about the train.
Yeah.
I won't try and get on the train.
Yeah, man. Music is too fun to make, and it's too rewarding to listen to back to not make it in whatever the next delivery system is. I think we're in this delivery system for a long time, and
you are
making the model better is all we have to do, and it does get better.
It will. I think if you look at Spotify, to me, that move that they did with bundling is, on one hand, you could say like it's a corporate thing and it's a money grab, but on the other hand, when you're talking about this is a company, $1 billion company that owns none of the intellectual property. I think it's a money grab. They're trying to do whatever they can do, whatever they feel they can get away with, because they see, Brent, to your point, winter's coming. Like they're a middleman that no longer needs to exist. We needed, when we were growing up, man, we needed Musicland. We needed Sam Goody. We needed Tower Records because they distributed the records and that's where we went and bought that stuff. And there's no other way to really do it. And now, why it's taken so long for the music industry to do what Hollywood did, which is just start their own streaming services and finally find out who their customer is and know that it's Trey Bruce and that he likes rock and country and he doesn't like this crap over here. And so we don't need to send him one email about this crap over here. We'll just give him what he wants, and see what he does. That's where it's going to be headed, just out of sheer economics, and while, the tech guys like Spotify, Apple, and Amazon have absolutely no freaking clue the value of like a songwriter. The labels are better at that, and the ones with the real power, to the point of this whole conversation, are really the artists now, and they absolutely know.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
unless they're not so good writers, but they think they're better than they are.
There's just not many mission-based corporations. It comes down. It's a trite word, but it is greed. Why make $10 when you can make 12 and pass that extra $2 deficit down to somebody close to the bottom? So there's always going to be that. But if I was an automaker and the guy that makes starters for me one state over was going through a bad time, the last thing I would do would be try to give him a pay cut and push him down farther, because now I've got an unhappy starter maker who's on the brink of going out of business every day with stressful employees that can't make it. I still need starters, and I'm trying to kill the guy that gives them to me.
Exactly.
That's how I look at greed at the top of the music business down to the bottom. We rarely try to cut our work. Like when they started doing 360 deals, record labels weren't making as much money. So instead of trimming the fat up there, they go, how can we keep this kind of money coming in, but steal it from someone else? Let's get their tickets and their merch. And then in the last 10 years, it's all been everything. And then the songwriter at the very, very bottom. And you can say listenership shows that because only catalog music streams as much as new music and more in most cases. It definitely tours better. But they can also say, well, we don't need the songwriters. We can write it ourselves. Well, that also shows up with people going, today's music sucks.
Yeah. That's right. That's right. And, you know, to your point, like I know BMG, like we heard this from another interview we had on, but BMG, like 3% of the revenues are new music. It's all catalog, man. All catalog. And I bet you all the labels are the same.
It is. There's label studio complexes in our city that stay busy because they're doing Atmos mixes, not because the studios are busy doing new content. They're like, it's a fraction of what they do because they're so busy doing Atmos mixes on everything. Which I love that as well.
That's right. Are you in Nashville, Trey?
I've been in Franklin for as long as I've been up here, which is about 37, 38 years.
But you're in there. We should go out to lunch sometime, man. I'd love to geek out with you. I love the way your brain works, dude.
Not everybody will say that, but I'm glad.
Well, I for one get it. Like I get it. Like I get exactly where you're coming from, and I agree with it wholeheartedly. You know. And I know where your heart is too. So if we ever have a disagreement, I'll still appreciate the heart, and we can just agree to disagree. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But that's amazing, man. Brent, you got anything you want to add on this?
Well, I mean, I could talk to them all day. This is great. But any place that our listeners could go to find out about you, any place you would point us to, or anything we want to, help you out, however.
Absolutely.
Coming on.
Well, I very reluctantly put out stuff myself now because I can. I want to mark time for my kids and grandkids.
Cool.
But at the same time, I don't promote or tell anybody about it because I don't want any of my peers to think that I think I'm an artist.
Well, you're not doing a real good job of that, Trey. Talking about it on the
So I've got a 12-song record on Spotify. I think I have one monthly listener, and I have 4 daughters. So that's how paranoid I am about pushing my own music. But I've started getting into this. I'm going to release a single off several different collections that I've cut over the years. About every 2 months. And then, let's see, I have a European rock band called Sin Plus that I think I have a new single on them next week, and I had their last 5.
How do you spell that?
SINPLUS.
Okay.
So I really like them. I'm working with a few new artists around the planet that I absolutely love as much as I loved the Osbourne brothers and Chris Janson when I found them. Those are hard to find, so I just happen to be loaded up with several of them right now.
Awesome.
Well, hard to find for everybody else, but it sounds like your picker's right on point, brother.
Yeah, and my Instagram is Music Love War. If anybody wants to find me, talk about music.
Very cool. We'll put the links in the show notes.
Music Love Lore, Lore.
Love War. Music
War.
Love War.
Oh, even better.
Yeah.
Music Love War. I love it. Trey, thank you so much for
Yeah, man.
You bet.
for saying that's great
I'm
conversation.
glad you figured out that this wasn't a rock climbing show when you got
That's
our
right. Because I passed it several months in a row thinking that's another athletic thing, which I love, but I didn't need another thing to subscribe to. So, yeah, this was great. I enjoyed it.
Thank
Well,
you so
good,
much,
man. Well, guys, that takes us to the end. What a great conversation, man. That takes us to the end of another Killer C.L.I.M.B episode, guys. This podcast exists because we want you to win, and we keep bringing the pros to you, and so you can get their thoughts and get their take and put together your plan, man. All right, so keep on climbing.
Perfect.
And we'll see you
guys
at the top.
All right. Bye-bye.
Who write a great